warned me that he'd be a little late. So we're just going to kick it off anyway. So I want to first do a few, I thought we'd do a few kick off with any club announcements we need to cover. So I'll have just one thing I'll cover, and then I'll maybe hand off to Larry if he has anything to say, and then we'll start with the main show. First and foremost, the only announcement I have is that we are what, about almost, we're about 3 weeks away from ZOOMFEST-2 on March 7th. And I just wanted to reminder that for anyone who wants to, it will be in the slot that we originally designated for the big show, which is now moved to November 21st. And so what we'll do is we'll do a ZOOMFest like we did back in May, very similar in format, with not much in the way of any changes. So if you're interested in being either a seller to sell items, or to solicit for things, if you're looking for certain parts or vintage electronics, you wish to give away, donate, or be a contestant in, there'll be two radio contests, one for radios, bring whatever you want to enter. There's no category. And then there's a non-radio segment, which means you have a reel-to-reel, a vintage computer. And so if you wish to show, just what you do is just reach out to me so I can give you a slot in the calendar, because right now we have about 11 people who are going to participate. So that means, everybody gets a 5-minute slot, and I can give an additional slot if more time is needed, because right now it's from 9 to 12. If I kept to the time slot we have, probably if you add some slot, we're probably around an hour and 15 minutes into this. So just reach out to me. Now, if you want to be a buyer or just an observer, I'll be sending the link out on that day, and I'll be sending email reminders anyway, but I'll be sending the link, and you can just join. You know, our maximum number of I think our Zoom license allows 100 participants, and I don't think we'll worry about hitting that limit, because, but just to let you know that you can just join and watch, and of course anyone who attends should vote during the radio contest, just like you would at Brookline when we do the contests that are run usually by Ted. So if you have any questions, I can certainly answer them here, or just email me, and I'll be sending out reminders anyways. We're getting closer, and some of us will be posting. I know I need to post some pictures up. I've created, for the people who have already reached out to me, I've created albums already in our photos link on the groups.io. So everyone's got their names called, I think ZOOMFEST-2 and your name. And that way, if you want to just pile in photos, I've already done at least the folder part for you. You just pile photos in. If you have any questions how to do it, any of that stuff, not a problem. I will just email me. So I've drawn on enough about ZOOMFest. Larry, is there anything you'd like to, President Larry, would you like to make any announcements or anything you want to say before we kick this off? You're muted, by the way, Larry.
Larry.
Oh, 1 second. He's giving the 1 second.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah. We can.
Okay. Spacebar is supposed to unmute me, but it doesn't always work for some reason. Anyway, yeah, just one quick announcement, and that would be we do need help publicizing the Spring Brookline show. We've got about 8 volunteers, including myself and Bruce. And what we're asking is for people to, we will mail you posters if you volunteer. Let us know how many posters you need to put one in any venue nearby where you live that might be a place where someone who is interested in antique radios or vintage electronics might frequent, like, say an antique shop or an electronics store, something like that. So right now, you know, we don't have a lot of coverage and we could use more coverage. So I'm going to put up an email. If you think you can help with this, please respond to this email. It's in the, it should come out in the chat box here. Yep, I just sent it to everyone via the chat box.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. See that.
And
So,
maybe I could also make an announcement, and that is that the Radio Amateurs of Northern Vermont is holding a Ham Fest. It's called Ham-CON, Ham-Con, and it's an all-day fest on the 27th of February, and there'll be lots and lots of presentations. I'm doing my usual spy presentation. And there's also going to be an interesting flea market in which people are encouraged to put stuff on a table, and that will be visible throughout the entire minimum of 4 hours that you have to stand by your table. So we might see how that works out and see if we want to expand our idea into that possibility too. We'll see how it evolves.
So that's him, huh? Okay.
Great. That's great. Well,
Sorry.
this is helpful. Thank you, Tom. Was there any other club announcements we want to make here?
I had a question, John.
See what's going on here and I'll be right in.
Yeah, they're announcing some kind of a hand fest.
Let's see, we can, I think we got some, we might have to mute here. Sure, Bill, question away.
Yeah, how are we gonna vote for those club contests?
Oh, so what you'll do is you can email me directly, okay, to my email, or you can send it to photos, was it the photos email address in our at photos@nearc.net. But if you just go to jfxg.yahoo or just respond to my any one of my emails I send, email me directly. So what will happen is when ZoomFest ends, I'll just when everybody's done their presentations or any contestants have shown their item, then at the end of the show, we'll just have everybody email their vote for the items. And so what they'll do is everybody, by the way, everybody in the list will get a number. Okay, so it's all the registrants. So you're just voting for the registrant. I'll post that later when I've got the full set of registrants squared away. We have 11 right now, and if we have some more, I will send it out, and you'll be voting for the register number of the person. That's all you have to do. So if you like, you know, there's 5 radios and it happens to be Tom's radio and he's number 3, you just say radio number 3 and he'll be and we'll do it that way. And I'll send those instructions as we get closer there, because I think there's only one contestant right now that I think of, I believe, and that's only been Noah. So there may be others. So if we only have one radio, that's going to be a pretty easy vote.
Can we put it on the chat list?
You could send it to, you could unicast me. You could send it to me in the chat. In fact, actually, I would encourage that. I'll stay on an extra few minutes. You can in chat, you know, you can send to everybody. You can send it to a specific person. You can send it to me. That'd be absolutely fine. In fact, I'd actually encourage that because it's simplify even doing email. Great idea, Bill.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Like I said, the Hollywood guy has to come in late, and here he's just arriving right now. So we'll let
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I was just gonna maybe offer a possible suggestion.
Sure.
When you have presentations, we've got you know, sometimes a lot of background noise, and I found that I just leave my mic muted and then just use the space bar to push to talk when we need to talk, and it makes it a lot less distracting for everyone.
Yeah, if that's a good idea. Like, you know, everybody in general, if you could, like George is asking, we could mute when you can, unless you're in a really quiet room, then fine. But if you have some noise, if you could just mute yourself and you want to talk, like George says, either hit the space bar to talk or just unmute yourself, just to cut down the background noise. That's a good suggestion there, George.
But space bar doesn't always work, as I can attest to.
Okay. Well, then just do the manual, unmute yourself on the lower left-hand corner, might be your safest bet. That one always seems to work. Let's see now, do we have the man of the hour there? There he is. I see him munching away. Hello, Paul. Glad you finally could join us.
I should be muted if I'm,
All right, we don't want to hear what you're eating.
I know.
That's
Well,
fine.
the other thing I would mention is depending on if you use a headset or not, many of the headsets have a mute right on the, you can hear me.
Right.
So they're kind of convenient that respect, and they always work generally. So it's just, something we'll look at trying to be more consistent with moving forward.
And the last point, so I'm going to let you get Bob, our friend Bob, who's given us some nice presentation. I have to apologize. I have to step out for a while. So I'm going to actually kill my video. I am recording this, but I have a personal matter I have to take care of. So I apologize to everybody, but I will either dive back in later or if the meeting ends. So I've handed co-host also to Tom in case, in case you got super delayed there, Paul. So now we've got, in fact, let me just make sure we're your co-host anyway.
I'm here.
So Tom will end the meeting if I don't get back in time. So I truly apologize. So Bob, I have to tell you that if I miss most of your presentation, I promise to watch it because I do look forward to this. I have to take care of some matter here. So
Okay.
so I'm going to step away. I'm going to head up to Paul. Bob is going to give us a presentation which we look forward to, and I'm going to hang out for a few minutes just make sure you can get up and going here with your presentation.
All righty.
Thank you, John. We'll see you later.
Sure.
Take care, John.
Thanks.
Okay, well, not knowing exactly where we've been here, though I'm assuming we did a little club business and some posters and all. It's Bob Barker night, and that is not the game show host from Price is Right. So this is the radio host with the large, nifty collection. So without further ado, are you ready to share your screen there, Bob, and get rolling?
Yeah, I will be if you allow me to screen share.
Can you enable that, Tom? Is that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I have to do that on. Why don't I make you a co-host, Paul? That might be easier. I don't know. Stand by one. I got the.
Sure.
Here's a list of. There we are. Participants. Okay. Okay. Paul becomes a co-host. Yeah. It seems as though I can't do that, so I'm going to have to enable Bob Barker. That would require allowed to. Where's the button to allow him to share?
I think it's on participants.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I've got now.
Sorry, I just dropped in as you was having a little technical problems here.
We just want to enable Bob to share his screen.
You should be. Oh, I could fix that. All right, Bob, you should be good to go. I'm glad I came back.
Thank you.
All right, John.
All right. So, wait a minute. Just make sure Bob is ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, because when I was working on the audio, I messed up the
cauliflower lot.
file. Okay, I'll get it ready.
Not a problem. Sorry about that, but we can always get these little glitches worked out.
I hear the tick-tock of a clock.
I do.
It's like a metronome. Who's going to play the piano?
Okay, have you got that?
Got it. We've got your voice. Nothing on the screen yet.
Okay. Well, it's on my screen. Let's see.
Is there anything up in the center top of the display?
Not related to this.
So you just have to,
Okay.
so you have sharing ability. So you should do is when you hit the share screen, then you'll select one of the windows, the picture window that you want to start sharing.
Okay.
Talk to us as you're trying things. Maybe we can help.
Yeah, I want to get the folder up.
Okay.
I've
Bring
got,
that for-
I've got the folder on the page,
Okay.
and now
So you can click on the first photo to,
on the first photo.
okay. Now you can go to the center of the bar in the Zoom window and see the share screen button.
Well,
Yeah, right in the center of the Zoom window, if you can see all the different icons from left to right, so mute and stop video and security, and right in the almost dead center is the share screen. Comes with like a little green tinted icon in the center when you put your arrow on it, your cursor.
Yeah, it's at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah, you may have to bring your cursor down to the bottom of the screen to be able to see it.
correct.
okay, I see screen share.
There you go. So you click on that,
Yeah,
and then it'll let you pick which window, which will be the picture you just already enabled in the window. So you select that picture window.
it disappears on me every time.
Weird.
Sure.
There you go.
Uh-oh, looks promising. Hey, there he is.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we're gonna maximize that, huh?
Right. Just maximize enough you can see the arrows so you can keep scrolling forward in your photos. You can just manually pull the window larger if you wish. See that lower, if you see the lower right hand corner, you see the arrow at about 45 degrees, double-ended arrow. That allows you to pull this photo larger if you want.
That's the double pointed arrow, John, correct? On
Correct.
the lower.
Yeah.
Right, yep.
Yeah, you could just manually pull a picture larger to, let's say, 50% larger would be probably about right.
Do you have a mouse, Bob, or do you use a keypad?
Yeah, I'm gonna use the mouse.
Go down to those arrows at the bottom right. There you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Is that good enough?
That's
I can
good.
see it.
Yeah, I can see it fine.
All right. Okay. Let's see if that's that's gonna work.
Yeah, it looks like you're in good shape there, Bob.
Okay. I guess we gotta start anyhow. It's not exactly the best display, but it'll work. Yeah. I'm relatively new to the group, so I thought I would say a word or two about how I got started in this radio stuff. It was, I've probably been collecting longer than anybody here, but I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. I've been collecting for 75 years. I was 15 years old when I was in high school, and I swapped a BB gun for some radio parts that one of the other kids had. I built a 1-tube radio in a cigar box. It worked on flashlight batteries. And I wound a coil on the core of a toilet paper roll, the cardboard core that's an empty roll. Made myself my first radio, and been interested ever since. I've never worked in the field. I've never studied formally anything, but I've been collecting for a long time now. I thought I would first show you some of what I have, and this is I call it my inventory, what I'm ready to work on. I like the battery sets. I get a real kick out of firing them up and get him to work, and just hearing a radio that's 85 years old playing, because I find a great deal of pleasure in that. This is a Greeby. I have 3 Greebies. This is a Atwater Kent breadboard here. Some more tombstones. This is, I had about 5 or 6 Atwater Kent breadboards at one point. Anybody wants to interrupt me with questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Look at those big, beautiful blue tubes.
Yeah, those are O&As, of course, brass base O&As. That's
Fancy. Pricey and harder to get.
Yeah. And some long box Atwater Kents ready to be restored. That's my tube collection. And by the way, somebody was looking for a 14 GT8. Anyone here looking for that? I think it's a TV tube, but somebody on the forum had said that looking for that tube, and I have it. So I don't know who it was, but if anybody knows who was looking for it, let me know. I have a brand new one in the box.
I believe you. How many of those do you have? I mean, that's quite a collection.
Well, this is about 3/4 of my tubes. Well, no, it's maybe half of my tubes.
Oh, wow. Very nice. A lot of original boxes there too. Very nice.
Yeah. And
some French roast to go with them.
These are Millard tubes. They're what this is a Kellogg radio. If you haven't heard of that, Kellogg made telephone equipment like Western Electric.
Mm-hmm.
And they also made, at least I think, just one radio. I don't know if they made more models or not, but it's unique and it uses the Mullard tubes, and the filaments are on the head. It's not a grid cap. It takes this harness that goes over it, and then this lead goes to the filament voltage source. This is just a spare tube. The radio takes 6. As you can see the harness here. I put it out here because it's harder to see inside the cabinet. But I haven't had this one playing. I haven't worked on it yet. But this is a Zenith Super 7, not a Super Het. It's just the name was Super 7. And we're going to look at the one that followed this when we go upstairs. We're in the basement now where the workshop is. This is a separate chassis, a spare chassis, I should say, for this. Pretty hard to restore these because there was so much white metal in the tuning mechanism that the wheels are just absolutely destroyed. I also collect music boxes and Quack medical devices. This is a Quack medical box now. I guess it's got enough bells and whistles so that a practitioner can charge a little bit more for this than for the simple shock things. You can see the shock one down here.
Now, Bob, just out of curiosity, do you know was that for a specific use, or could that be used in many ways to defraud the potential patient? I see it has a nice bright red light. That must mean something nasty's happening if the lights up when.
May I comment on this?
Sure.
Certainly.
I
may.
suspect one of my favorite things to collect, although they're getting way too expensive, is the quack coils and so forth. This might be a diathermy machine. I'm looking at the 2 quench spark gaps, and that makes me understand that there's some radio frequency involved. And I don't know what the labels are. I'd love to know what the octagon labels in the lower left-hand corner say. Can somebody help me with that?
Normally that would say patient. Those are the electrodes.
Yes, that's correct. So it might be used for creating a radio frequency signal along with a cutting knife or something. I look down below and I see you've got a couple of handheld probe. Well, actually, one probe might be for something else, but I see a little quack coil down the bottom on the left. I love these things, so and I'm enjoying your collection very much. Thank you.
Main thing about these quack devices is to impress the patient. And if it makes sparks and if it flashes lights, and especially if little motors run around in circles, patients get very impressed. I actually have a couple of instruction books, and the instruction books list every imaginable kind of disease from cancer to tummy aches, and how to set the device to fix any one of them.
How could you fix a particular year to that?
Very interesting. I remember reading one that said that cataract, ordinary blindness is easy to cure, but cataracts are not. And
unless you have the right machine.
they correct female troubles too.
Oh my. Now, I was just out of curiosity. Do you know what era that device would date from? Is that 20s?
No, I do not.
Not sure. Thank you.
I was trying to zoom in on those octagonal labels, but the
labels, yeah.
The zoom isn't.
Actually,
They say either low volume or low voltage.
Low voltage and high voltage.
It's a diathermy machine.
Okay.
There's obviously one where the lead is connected.
Hey, Bob, do you have any telegraph keys in your collection? You can hook it up to that and go on the air.
Yeah, I do have some keys and sounders. I don't have pictures of them, but I do have pictures of a cabinet that has some in. Maybe they can spot them there. Any more comments on this?
I think we might be good.
Okay.
On with the show.
Okay, now we go upstairs. Here's the restored stuff. This is a Radio 4. This Greeby is playing. I built a power supply for that from a kit from, and so that's the playing. Most of the stuff is playing. I have a keel table here. We had a keel table radio in the family all during my teenage years. This isn't the one, but that one got sold by my parents, and then this one I picked up later on my own. Some more. I also collect the Edison cylinder phonographs.
It seems so, yes.
I'm curious if anyone recognizes the panel on this radio here. I was told that radio was built in something like 1907, so it could have been used to listen in on ship to shore transmissions, perhaps, and that was available when at the Brant Rock transmission. So I don't know if that's true, but I don't know if anybody has seen that one or not. Anybody have any recollections?
I've been to Brant Rock, but I have not seen that
Yeah.
that front panel. It's that they have a monument to Fessenden. It's in a last time I was down there, it's in a little park of trailers, and it's you drive through there and you don't expect to see it, and then it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's this? And it's one of the more uniquely placed pieces of radio historical memorabilia I've seen in the midst of a little trailer park there. But it's right on the water. You can see why they use that spot. That's for sure.
I'll have to go there one time. This is a Radiola 4. I did almost no work restoring this. It was in beautiful shape when I got it. And it has all the batteries in it. And I coated them, shellacked them so that
No leakage. Yeah.
so that to preserve them.
Look at that original cloth and all. That's mint.
Now is there a key? Here's a key down here, I guess. This is a sounder, I believe. This is a Belgian cabinet that I restored and electrified. This is what we're going to talk about. This is a Zenith 17 built in 1927. It's the first radio that Zenith made that would work off the light line. Now you probably know that the first electricity that went into homes was for light and nothing else. And then came along appliances and things that could be plugged in. And you see here that little plug that allowed that you unscrewed the light bulb. There it is. You unscrew the light bulb and you screw this in and plug in your radio, and lo and behold, you don't need batteries. That's fabulous. Now, the radio that immediately preceded this is the one that I just had up, this one, the Super 7. And then after Super 7, I guess you would expect Super 8. But instead of Super 8, instead of Super 8, they give 17. Maybe because 7 and 1 is 8. I don't know why they did that. But I had an interesting experience on this radio. First of all, I was working on it on the bench. This is the rectifier unit. This is a capacitor unit and voltage divider unit. And this is the chassis itself.
From which radio?
I'm sorry?
From what radio is that? From the 17?
From the 17, the Zenith 17. That's and one thing about this is it is not grounded. And I was working on the doing something with the power supply here, and I got my elbow on this metal here, and I got such a wallop that I said, I got to see what that voltage is. It was not 110, and I measured it. It was 320 volts. So I'm scared of this thing ever since. But I had, it didn't play. And so I started work on it, and I found that there's no B+ voltage at all. And so I went to the rectifier unit. First thing I did was pull out the tube, and that was not was no sign of igniting. And the tube was a 1006, type 1006, and it's stuck into an adapter. And I should show you the before picture. Yeah, you can see the tube adapter here. And the tube was not firing. So I tried to get the writer out, and the writer showed the diagram of this power supply, but it didn't say what the tube type is supposed to be. So I found out further that it wasn't getting well, this adapter, I had to take the adapter apart because it was a broken connection inside the adapter. But this tube is a 4-prong tube, but the filament is on the small pins. And I thought that doesn't seem right. So anyhow, you probably know of Lowell Sibley. I think his name is Lowell. Yeah, Lowell Sibley. He wrote a book, Tube Lore. And I think he wrote another book or two on tubes. So I called him, and he said, he told me the earlier 17s had 4 BH cold cathode tubes, and that was overkill. And then they changed to 1 tube, and he was mystified about the wiring to the filament to the small pins. But it's pictured that way in writers, but there's no specification as to the tube type. And there's some speculation. There was a company called NRC or something like that that made tubes that was in the same building as Zenith, and Lowell or Ludlow, or whatever his first name is, speculated that they might have made a special tube for Zenith for this. But anyhow, it does work with a 1006, which is a gas-fired tube. And
plates look very interesting.
yeah, the thing is, it's a mess, isn't it? Bad wiring. Then it looks a little better here. I cleaned it up. I replaced these capacitors, and I took that bank thing away. And now it's functioning. Here's something unique about this set. This toggle switch has 4 positions. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is neutral. And it's just a small switch, and it compensates for the lower high power, because there wasn't much regulation then. You're supposed to get 110. Sometimes you had 100, sometimes you had 115. So you could compensate for that with this switch. That was the idea. I generally run it on 1 or 2, which is the lower range. The radio, I got some 27 stations with it, so the reception is good. It has an ammeter on the front panel. That was another thing that I ran into that caused me some trouble, because it's an ammeter. It was in series with the filament, so, and the meter is burned out. And I figured, well, voltmeter is burned out, so we can do without it. But it's not a voltmeter, it's an ammeter. So I had to bypass that.
Where did you come across that radio, Bob? Where did you find that beauty?
You know, I don't know. I got a lot of radios from a fellow in New Jersey. There was a man in New Jersey who was nearly totally deaf, who had a huge collection of radios. And I bought a lot of them from him, and I think that may be where this came from. These units, this one weighs, I wrote it down here, let me see, 24 pounds, 23 pounds, and 30 pounds. It adds up to 74 pounds, the three pieces. Looking at my notes here.
Wonder how many of those were manufactured, not to mention how many of them may still exist.
I would wonder also, they sold for $350 in
A lot of cake.
1927. So that was an awful lot of money. You could buy a new car for $350, I think, Model T. So it was a wealthy man's radio, that's for sure.
A comment, your electrified cabinet was very interesting if you want to show it again later.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Your electrified cabinet was very interesting if you want to show it later.
Yes.
Electrified cabin.
Is that what you mean?
No, before that, the one that you electrified and had,
This one?
that's it, yeah.
Yeah,
Really nice.
thank you.
I see the tubes up there. You got an Arcturus. It looks like an Edison light bulb. And what's the gold tube that's there?
The gold tube?
Yeah, on the top shelf, there's a gold tube with the gold on it. You know,
And the
gold.
ceramic fixture.
The middle one.
This.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's just a O1A.
Okay.
Golden O1A. I've got quite a few O1As. Okay, let me move on. You can't talk about Zenith without mentioning the transoceanic. That they built those from 1942 to 1981, 39 years, one model, various mutations, of course. They use octal, miniature, and loctal too. So one of the models used all three in the same model. This one is a working model that I have upstairs, and here's the underside of the chassis of this. If you're working on this, the first thing you do is replace the selenium rectifier and hope that this resistor is good, because that's 138 ohm, and you need, I don't know how many watts that is, but it's at least 10 watts that it'll take. These number of the transoceanics took a tube of 1L6, and that's a rare tube. And I just, for this presentation, I checked today to see if I could buy a new one. And I found a used one for $60 and a new one for $99. So the 1L6, if you buy one of these things, you want to make sure that it either doesn't take the 1L6 or it has a good 1L6 in it.
You pay more for the single tube than you might for the set, depending on where you go. Where did you find those prices, Bob? Where were you looking?
I wasn't,
call.
I didn't go to a store. I just put the
Took
tube.
a look, see?
Yeah, I just put the tube tube type in the address bar, and it. I did a search until I came up with it. I don't really remember the names. One name I never heard of, and the other one I think was Antique Radio Supply or something like that. One name I'd heard of, the other one I did not. This is a Atwater Kent Model 10 that I restored. And this is that one that I was
Yes, the mystery.
inquiring, mystery box. And I don't know if I've omitted anything, but that's essentially the presentation.
The thing that you pull this thing down.
Oh yeah, my wife is whispering in my ear.
Well, we allow that.
This,
Can you go
put it-
back?
I put a
previous
knife,
slide?
put a knife switch on the ceiling here, and it turns on the light of my bench and my sign. So
Very cute.
Can you go back to the mystery box by chance, just for a second? If you would like to open that up at some point and send me a photograph of the insides, I feel pretty confident I could tell you what that is.
it's barren inside.
Oh, so there's no guts.
There's no guts.
Ah, okay, I missed that. All right, very good.
Boiled.
It looks like a matchbox of some sort for an antenna system. That was going to be my guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Anybody have any questions for our presenter this evening? Anything that we've seen? Other than, on the first, I believe it was the Zenith 7. And I just wish we could get a little close up, but the dial pointers with the Z on the bottom of them are just gorgeous for the Zenith. Commander McDonald probably drew those in pencil for the, keep going. Back, could you go back one more? It was the first one you showed us, Bob. You said not the Super Hetron, but the Super 7, I believe.
Oh,
there we go. So there's a Z, I believe, in the the heavy part, the base of the dial pointers, and those things are just gorgeous.
right here.
Yes, especially for something from that era. I mean, that's very nice. Gorgeous stuff.
Well, I came in a little bit late. Could you just slowly go through the next couple slides so we could see it?
Yeah.
Gorgeous, gorgeous room.
Look at that.
Beautiful stuff. I mean, really.
How much would you charge, Bob, to hook me up to that machine and see if you could make the red light go on?
Well, I'd do it for, well, how about $1.75?
There you go. The doctor is in. I love it.
Machine were you talking about?
Oh, the
This one.
the diathermy machine there.
This one down here in the left corner.
Well, there was
Okay,
yeah,
gorgeous.
Health insurance cover that?
yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, I'd like to have to make that explanation. Yes,
I'd want to see
Sure.
his medical license.
that's. I'm sure he got the best one he could get for. He cut it out from a cereal box. It's fine with me. Anything for help.
Rather proud of this too. It doesn't come out in the picture very much because it's in a glass case, but this is RCA1 speaker, and the cone of that speaker is the grill is the cone. It isn't a grill because it's solid parchment, and this
Interesting.
was restored better than new condition. And I'd like to just present that someday on a program. I would take it out and take the face off so you could see the inside of it.
I see you have an Atwater Kent Model 35 over there. It's on the top shelf.
Up here, yes, that plays.
I got one, believe it or not.
Uh-huh.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Is that speaker that you were talking about, the one with the parchment, is that like that's an electromechanical with the 2 coils, right?
No, I don't know. I really don't remember whether it has 2 coils or not. It has, I think maybe you're right, because it has a shaft that goes to the center. And that shaft was broken, and I tried to get a jeweler to silver solder it, SILFOS, not silver solder it, and he wouldn't do it. And I couldn't get anybody to do it, so I did it myself with just regular solder, and it worked. It played, so the sound was pretty good. And
just as a general hint for you guys, if you really want to make something strong as a solder joint, it takes a little bit of practice, but if you use lead-free solder, which I've been doing, because when I worked in hospitals, they would not allow lead solder for anything. And I did a lot of life safety equipment. So I learned to solder with lead-free solder containing silver, and it's stronger. You'll break the wire before you break the joint, just as a hint.
Interesting.
it's a good one.
Where would one obtain that type of solder, Larry?
Anywhere. Wayne Electronics sells it pretty much anywhere. It's NTE. If you
Standard.
go on their website, they have it.
They have it.
Take a little more heat.
Yes, you're probably about 150 degrees hotter than lead solder, but it is very, very strong. It takes a little practice to get used to it. It has to be hot enough, but it works.
You know, I'm impressed, you know, despite the things you've pointed out and shown us, I mean, you still have all these gorgeous Philcos, you know, some of the really, you know, they're lost, you know, the sets from the 30s and the 40s that I saw on some of the shelves get lost in the shuffle with some of the more rare and attractive items. So do you have a figure as to how many sets or pieces of equipment you might have in your upstairs and downstairs?
Well, at one time I estimated 2,000.
Oh yeah.
I've sold an awful lot. I was looking for a photo of 6 or 7 transoceanics that were in reasonably good shape that I don't have anymore, but I put them on the steps and photographed, and I couldn't find that picture. The long box Atwater Kents, like the one up in the upper left there, I probably sold 20 of those of various models. And I've had my share of boat anchors too.
I belong to a forum where somebody was complaining. I guess he had a drive issue, and can't remember how many radios he said he had. He had quite a few, but he was bemoaning the fact that he lost. I guess he keeps some type of a master spreadsheet, you know, as far as how he catalogs all his sets. So, you know, it's interesting. Sometimes you'll find people who just have it all in their head and they have these extremely large collections. Other times you'll find folks who, you know, catalog every detail. They have it on a sheet. They can tell you where they got it, well, what they paid for it, how much time they spent in it. So you must have a big layout down there to store all those sets.
That's been a problem, yes.
Yes, as it can be, yes.
Yeah. I just like working on them. I enjoy working on them. I don't have, I'm not very sophisticated at it. I don't know if you could see my bench. See if we go back there. I don't have a good picture of my workbench, but I've got.
You need more radios, really.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've got push button switches, rotary switches, and things like that on my bench. I enjoy tinkering with doing strange stuff like that knife switch on the ceiling. And I've always marveled at what I still think is a miracle of radio, because I stand in a room, I stand in the museum room, for instance, and I realize that there is voice in there is music in there, and it's beautiful music. It's not crude music. All I need to do is have a device to catch it, to grab a hold of that miracle that's there. All the sound. It just blows my mind that you can that energy travels with that accuracy, that you can reproduce it with great fidelity. And
Well, in those few sentences, you just encapsulated what drives many into this hobby, you know, from the ether, right, Bob?
Yes. And I recall also when somebody asked a young boy about what he liked. This is some years ago. What he liked better, television or radio? He said, I like radio because the pictures are better. Well, see, what he was saying is his imagination could provided him with something that the actual video did not.
Yes, yes. So I'm gonna opine here. So throw my 2 cents in. So apparently Stephen King, in addition to being a fairly prolific horror writer, also as a kid was a fan of radio programming, and you know, he's particularly a big fan, I guess, of Arch Oboler, which is not really a big surprise. But somebody asked him once. They said, you know, you know, how did you get started? You know, concocting these things in your head that you would later turn into short stories and novels and all. And he mentioned that he was staying with an aunt and uncle, and they were listening to. He remembered this specific broadcast. It was the Chicken Heart, and he mentioned that he heard it. He was scared. He didn't want to listen to it. He got up. He sat outside their door. He heard it. He was frightened to death. And then at the end, he goes, "The monster that we don't see is far more frightening than the one that lives in our head." You know, so I mean, his point was obviously, you know, the monster you see on the screen is nothing compared to the monster that you can create in your head. There, I think I paraphrased it properly, but you know, it's so true. You know, it's what it is, and just L1L6 price for you. So there's a fellow out in Wellington, Ohio, brand new in a box, $29. I think he has them for 18 used. So if you need one, it's Find a Tube. The fellow's name is Bob Dobush. But
Thank you. I'm writing that down.
Bob Dobush, Find a Tube. If you look at his website, he's an interesting character. He works with the Estes auction folks, and he cleans out a lot of the estates with the tubes and whatnot for them. And he has just about everything. His prices are fair. His shipping is good. You know, he runs the business, he and his wife. And the reason that I like him is if you click on Meet Bob on the website, his picture is, I think, done with tongue in cheek. He looks crazier than I do. So anybody who would put that picture on the internet and then sell vacuum tubes is okay in my book. But his prices are good. He ships pretty quick, and you know, it is what it is. He tests every one of them. So I've never had a dud from Mr. Dobush. But yes, Bob, you're right as far as the wonder and the fascination with radio. As far as why do people get involved in all? Why spend so much time on these things? Well, you know, who knows what you'll pull out of the sky. Anybody else have any questions for our guest?
One of the wonderful things about radio was to be able to see a radio show. You didn't have to have a television screen. Those radio shows were vividly right in front of you. And actually, television was a bit of a disappointment because when you listened to Sky King, you saw Sky King, and a television set just can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, I occasionally have gone out, and I haven't done this in a while. I used to do these presentations. I took another club member out to one school that we went to, and we had some fun. We went to the 7th and 8th grade, but occasionally what I did, I would go out to some of the lower grades, and especially the English classes. I'd go out around the holidays, and if they were studying Dickens and A Christmas Carol, which was sort of timely, I had a broadcast of Ronald Coleman from the Family Theater program doing an episode of A Christmas Carol. And we'd talk a little bit about Dickens and, you know, the conditions in the time in England. And we'd try to talk a little bit about the social conscience thing. And then I'd say, well, before the movie that you've probably seen on TV, these were on radio. And I would, you know, hook the CD player into the RCA jack on one of the sets I would bring in. You know, it's a lot to ask sometimes the 4th and 5th graders of today's world to sit and quietly listen and try to imagine. And I remember to this day, this one little girl who, when I started the program, put her head down on her desk and she listened to the whole thing. I don't think she moved an inch. And when we're all over with it, I said, "How did you like that?" And she said, "I saw everything that happened." And, you know, so the kids still have an imagination. You just have to kind of poke it in the right spot to get them to use it. So that's, if nothing else, the theater of the mind still lives, I guess. Any other questions for Mr. Bach, or comments, reactions? I know John also asked if anybody had anything they would like to show from their own collections tonight. We can give you the floor. We'll go around the room. Questions, comments, reactions?
Well,
Yes, Mr. Hall.
Great collection.
I brought something up to show that Larry in particular wanted to see if had a chance.
Sure. I'll tell you what, let Fred finish up and we'll come over to you, Bill. How's that?
Okay.
I was just going to say it's a great collection, and you know, I thought I had a bunch of stuff. Man, I'll tell you, you must not have any cats or kids, because otherwise that stuff wouldn't look as good as it does. But it's terrific collection. I love the speakers and the horns and your wired cabinet with all this stuff in it, with the tubes and that. You know, terrific. And just as a reminder, whoever's on the net tomorrow morning, I'll be there. Thanks.
Fred, do I want to know what kind of cat problems you've had with the radios, or is that something best left for another night?
It's not really bad, but you know, if I have a cat in the room and when you're trying to solder something and the cat jumps on the bench, you got to watch out, you know, especially if you got a little bit of voltage there. It's either you or the cat or something, you know, but not too bad. Luckily, my workshop is separate from the house, so usually I don't have the cat with me. Thanks a lot. Anyway.
I've heard a couple of horror shows of cats attacking, especially consoles, you know, the new grill cloth that you've just lovingly installed. And I also, after thinking about it one night, I said, should I leave this newly refinished RCA 6-tube on the counter here, or would the cat get up on it to look out the window? Nah, he wouldn't. And I was graced with a job only a set of claws could do, you know, permanently embossed memories of my old orange cat. I've actually kind of left it, you know, it's what it is, and the radio still plays pretty well, but cats and radios, I seem to see a lot of them in pictures of different places I visit on the forum. Anyway,
well,
Mr. Hall.
There's a joke going around that was sent to me about, you know, it shows a guy like in shadows, it shows a guy with a BMW gets all these girls, a guy with a, you know, boat gets more girls, a guy with a big condo gets more girls, and the guy with a ham radio set gets a cat.
Oh, justice is served. Yes. Bill Hawley, you had something to show us.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if this is going to show up well, but on my screen it shows up backwards. But this is
I see it right straight dead ahead, just like we should.
Yeah, okay. It's a portable radio and telephone and telegraph transmitter built by GE in let's see, I think it's August of 1931. So it's about 90 years old. And it's built for the US Coast Guard. Surprise. Why would I have anything else? I'm going to turn this over. And if I can get the camera far enough away, it's a master oscillator power amplifier transmitter. I think it uses a 10 tube for a final output, and it probably has somewhere around 5, maybe 10 watts on a good day sliding downhill. But it was restored by Ray Bentliff several years ago before Ray passed on. And he did a magnificent job on this because this thing was terrible when I got it. It had some parts missing on the inside. He had a friend that had one of these and still in its original condition, and he was able to borrow it. And he rebuilt the parts, and I couldn't tell you, looking at the picture of the original and what he rebuilt, I don't think you could tell the difference inside of it now. And,
That's a beauty.
but,
Ray was a master. There's no doubt about it.
thing looks like it came out of the factory. It may be better.
Right out of Schenectady.
And I think it was manufactured probably in Schenectady. I did manage to get some paperwork from them about it. This came originally with a regenerative receiver that matched it in looks. And it was all into one case. And I guess the whole thing you could put on a wagon and cart down to the beach or wherever you were, if you were doing a wreck recovery or something.
Sure.
You could take it out and do it. And it had AM phone as well as telegraph. So you could have a carbon microphone on it and transmit voice.
Very cool.
So I have no idea what they were using for an antenna, but probably wasn't very sophisticated if they were out using it on the beach or whatever. And if anybody runs across a GE regenerative receiver that was part of a Coast Guard set, I'd be interested to know about it. I might pay a ridiculous price for it.
Is it crystal or VFO, Bill?
This is the master oscillator power amplifier set.
Okay.
So this knob right here adjusts the frequency. The frequency range is about 2,500 kilocycles down to 4,050. It says 2,464 kilocycles down to 4,050 kilocycles. Here's a little scale. I don't know. Looks like it might be too bright.
Yeah, it's a little washed out for us. Oh, I can see. Yeah, we can see it in flashes. Yep.
There it goes. Yeah.
Bill, do you know what method of modulation they used for AM?
I don't know, tell you the truth. I haven't dug into it that much. I never had any intentions of trying to use it on AM. I've had it on CW. I made one contact with it. I had an original power supply and I've lost the meeting. What did I do here?
Well, you're still with us. We see you.
Yeah,
It's probably
okay.
just on your screen.
All I've got is something that says leader in the 2020 Gartner Magic Quadrant for meeting solutions. I don't know. Anyway, when I put it on the air, I had an old time power supply and it was kind of wobbly signal. So Ray built me a modern voltage regulated power supply, and I haven't actually put it back on the air to try it out. It's just sitting on my shelf. I don't have a good way to connect it to an antenna. All my antennas are coax fed. So that's it for tonight.
Thank you, Bill.
I had another thought, something I was going to ask about Zenith. Does anyone know how Zenith got its name?
ZN1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a laboratory before it was a consumer company.
Well, it was one of the founders. There were two founders, and one of them was Nyan Zebra November, Nyan ZN, and that morphed into Zenith.
You know, Bob, if you were ever looking for more information, I don't know, there was a book that was published. I don't know if there was more than one. One of the authors' name was Blankenship, and there's a fellow, he was a professor, I believe. I tried to run him down one time for an interview. I believe he was somewhere out in Missouri and working for a university. And he is a Zenith researcher and historian. He had written this book, which catalogs, they have, you know, photographs and some history of Zenith as well. Apparently they had access to quite a bit of files that they were able to obtain from Zenith. You know, they had speeches that the commander had given to some of the workers. And so it's sort of a history book on Zenith, but they also certainly get into the sets as well. But if I have a copy, I will try to get you his name and what institution he was associated with. If you ever wanted to push his button and see if he has some more information, I can try to get you some contact info. Maybe you can drop him a line.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else have something they'd like to show us? Tom, did I see you pull something off a shelf behind you there?
You were peeking. Okay. This is just came in the mail today, and it is
boy, new toy.
Similar to Bill's set in that it is a transmitter only, and it's known as a spy transmitter. And it's very, very small, purposely made small enough to fit inside a French loaf of bread. And that's why it's in this case. You bake the bread around it. It's an interesting case. It's all copper. And this is the transmitter part. And I'll just let you have a peek inside this baby. Absolutely beautiful. World War II, of course, a spy radio. The antenna tuning controls are down at the bottom. This is the part that particularly excited me, and that is a built-in telegraph key right there.
Oh, nifty.
That allows you to send. There's also a socket where you can plug in another telegraph key. It's capable of taking many different shaped crystals. Crystals came in all kinds of different containers, and you can switch a bunch of things and make it tune the antenna. And very exciting device. Having been collecting telegraph keys for about 60 years, I never ever saw one like this one before. And so it's nice to be able to actually look inside and see what the telegraph key is like. And when you do that, there's not much there, just a little bit of insulation and a couple of springs. So quite fascinating. The set itself is very, very simple. It's a single tube set with a 5881 as the oscillator and the final amplifier, antenna tuning down here at the bottom, and a couple of other circuit components, but very nice, simple little set, the kind of thing that you really want to have if you're a spy. Easy to fix, everything very open. Perhaps you can see the wiring here is very, very easy to get at. And nice set. And if you remember the demo that I did last time of a PRC5 set that transmitters on these things are great, but the receivers are terrible. And luckily for me, nobody's ever found one of the receivers for these, so I'll probably never have to worry about that. But just having this little loaf of bread transmitter was a lot of fun.
That's cool. That's cool. Any
What
crumbs
did
in
they
there?
use
I mean,
for a
that's,
receiver, Tom?
Say again?
What did they use for a receiver for that?
It looks like the transmitter. It's the same size, but they just aren't easily accessible. I don't know why. Nobody that I know of has one. You can get the circuit diagram, but you can't find the darn things.
nifty. Let's see. Anybody else have a comment, thought, something to show?
Yeah, I do.
Go right ahead, Per.
Well, behind me, you can see a National Union three-way portable.
Oh boy, I love National Union radios. Tell me more.
And the reason it is significant to me is that back when, I first got interested in radios, I obtained this and messed around with it quite a lot. I didn't have the antenna that came with the back of the set.
Mm-hmm.
So I rigged up a thing here with an antenna sticking up. But then I learned about ferrite antennas. So I took this thing again out of here. But what I learned about the three-way radios, the battery operated AC/DC radios, stood me in good stead, because I was asked to help a photographer who had a record player, and he was trying to make some travel movies, and he would fly around or have somebody fly him around in South America while he took pictures, and then he wanted to have music in the background. But his pathetic little player, which had a player on top, and then there was the case with the electronics, was used the same kind of tubes as these radios with very small power output. And so having some experience with this, I got a hold of my trusty RCA tube manual and found that and his set used Loctile tubes. I discovered that I could get Loctile tubes with the same base configuration that were meant for house current. I mean, he never intended to use this player anywhere with just batteries. So I was successful in converting his record player to have all 6-volt tubes, and having a much greater power output by virtue of whatever tube I ended up using as the power tube, instead of the what's the value of this power tube here? Instead of the 3Q5 power tube that's in here, or the Loctile equivalent of that 3Q5. So anyway, that's my little story about this radio.
Very cool.
I haven't really, as you can see, it's been just sort of sitting down in the basement and in various other places, ever since the 1950s. And I might have been tempted to plug it in, except several months ago, there was a caution, I forget who it was, who said, don't just plug these in without dealing with the filter capacitors first.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because you can end up blowing out, one of the filaments of your string of battery operated tubes. So I have not been motivated yet to deal with the filter capacitors and get the thing running again.
Put it on the winter project list.
Yeah, that's right. Well, my wife has me on the winter progress
No, I'm sure she has a separate list.
list
That's right.
of cleaning up the basement. And
Yes, it doesn't include fixing National Union radios.
that's right. But at
I'm
least
familiar with those lists.
At least it included me being able to locate it.
Get it up.
Right now.
Very good. Bring
here
it
for-
upstairs.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All
Pear.
right. Thank you.
So what else is up this evening, gentlemen? Anything else you'd like to share with the
Yeah,
group?
I have some.
Yes, John.
It's kind of a weird item. It just looks like a box. I picked this up a few years ago and I saw it at some place. It wasn't at a radio event. It was somewhere else. And I opened it up and it has a bunch of metal slides in it. And the bottom cover, if you could read that,
Yes.
it says
Philco radio and television line presentation slides. Oh,
From
yes.
1954.
Sell me something.
And it has all these different models. Each slide is a different color. It's a color slide of a different model for 1954. And it even has, they're metal slides. And what it was apparently used for, and even it has some refrigerators and freezers in a range, for cooking, because Philco made some of those. But I think what happened was Philco, I spoke to some people, either the Philco factory guy went around to dealers and did a dog and pony show.
Yes, they did.
To show what's coming up for the next year. And because it says midsummer 1954. And it's just a unique thing. And I had, when I got a few years ago, I had them converted over to digital. So I have a disc with all these on it, which now I know it's a lot of people don't collect 1954 Philcos, but it's just an odd thing to find somewhere. It has radios and TVs also, as well as pictures of banners that could be used. So I don't know, it's just an odd thing. I don't know if anyone.
No, I mean, it's a very cool thing, John. Philco was a merchandising and sales were, the radios were great, especially in their heyday, but that's probably the tail end of their effort with meeting with the regional distributors who would then in turn sell them to, whatever the individual shops were.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like part of a sales, like a regional manager's kit.
Yeah.
Think of how cool that is.
Yeah. It also could have been used, say, at a trade show.
Yes.
Where, Philco would invite all the dealers in and do a show, right? A presentation right there at the trade show. The other thing I have is Philco related. I'm gonna have to lift this up. It's a little heavy. And recently I was at a house and I picked up a Philco 60. Now it's a tombstone and they made different versions of it over about 1934, 35. And I never saw this though. I'm gonna show you. It's hard to see. It's
Those
a
are sharp.
tombstone.
Yes.
And Philco made a Model 60 tombstone. And it
That's
even
in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Oh god. And it weighs a lot.
Yes, we can tell.
Yeah, it's and even the label says Philco 60, and on the side of the cabinet, which it's hard, you can't really see it. It says
Very
Philco
clean.
60. Yeah.
Very nice.
It has the right knobs on it and everything. But I never knew Philco made a Model 60 tombstone. So it was just something different that I had not seen before. Anyway, that's all I got to show.
Nice find.
Anyway.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else recently come in the mail? Found underneath a pile of other stuff. I didn't even know I had this set that was in my cellar. Well, I know it was Bob's night, and if we had anything else to chime in, you were all more than welcome to.
If you don't mind hearing about some large Zenith boat anchors to go back to Zenith.
Yes, yes, Mr. Noah, yes.
This unit right here is actually a record cabinet piece of furniture that goes with the Zenith high fidelity companion piece on the other side. And it's from 1958. And I just kind of really like the, sort of kind of deco, sort of bizarre look to the AM FM system with its
Ooh, there you go.
Cobra record changer that comes with it. And in the blonde cabinet, in the light, a lot of these things were big old dark pieces of furniture, but I thought this one was pretty cool. And of course, since it was so small and consisted of 2 pieces of furniture, how could I not lug the thing home?
Yes. Is that your little 45 adapter up there with the Zenith logo on it in the corner?
Yep.
Oh, that's
built right
very
into
nice.
the cabinet. It's right up
Amazing that
there.
they would still have that. Where did you find this thing?
It
Dare we ask?
came
With a
complete with
brochure. Oh,
came
boy.
complete with the whole brochure, 1958. And notice it says portable consolette.
Oh, yes, it's a consolette. I would hate to see
As
the
opposed-
console. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
there
right.
must have been bigger ones, and
Yeah.
and it came with all these things about here's the wonders of FM, listening to FM,
Nifty.
because as we know, it was magic, at the time, radio at its finest. So
That's right.
it was
No
it was a
static.
Craigslist find.
Beauty.
So
Amazing
You
that
know,
it would
it
have
had to
all
come
those little
home.
brochures.
yeah, it has everything. It has extra needles for the Cobra, for the Cobra-matic. And then the other Zenith that I have that's kind of an interesting one is actually, it is a rather small console and very nondescript. It's kind of shallow, doesn't take up a lot of room, but it's
Oh,
kind of
no
interesting
room
the
at
way,
all.
the way that flips up. And it's basically like a tuner preamp on the left and then like an integrated power amp on the right.
Cool.
And it's actually stereo, so it's early 60s as opposed to late 50s. And it has a little pull down compartment where albums could stand up
Store.
on that side, because over here it has
Turntable.
the pull down, flip down record changer on that side. And the really strange thing about it is that the speakers for the left and right channels are actually wired to these hinges. Speakers on it to speaker on there. So those are the 2 closest Zeniths to where I normally take these Zoom conferences. So
A distant relative. Now that's not a consolette, the one you recently showed us there.
no, that's, I don't
The
know.
consolette
That
comes.
must,
The portable
doesn't
comes
weigh-
with its
doesn't-
own truss,
yeah, exactly.
so you can lug it around. Oh, I love it. Well, every man has his own idea as to what constitutes a portable, I guess. So
Yeah, I think I would have said
Beautiful.
transportable. I don't know, but
yeah, thank you.
In my inventory, when I showed all the 3 dialers and so on there was a portable, and it, the advertising for it showed you going to the beach and putting this radio on the running board of the car. And it's the radio is about 3 feet long, and it's a radio. It had, I think, 6 or 199s and maybe a 120 for output, and you hooked it up to your car battery. And but it is laughable what they called portable on some of these.
You have to be Charles Atlas, not for the little skinny runt at the beach. That's for the big guy, right?
That's right. One good thing about it is the handles were strong enough so that They really would make good boat anchors.
Bob, I like that little Zenith 66X3 you have up there on the upper left corner. You still have the zebra grill cloth in there. Those aren't bad little sets for a 6-tuber up on your bookshelf behind you there.
Oh, right here.
Very nice.
Yeah. Zenith
Lots of
made
good
an
stuff.
enormous variety of radios. They made the chair sides. They made, there's no end to the variety that they put out.
Not to mention hearing aids. Put them in your pocket.
I didn't know that.
Yep, Zenith did Pioneer battery-powered hearing aids. If you go to eBay, you could probably find advertising pieces on them. You might even find a suitable hearing aid. But again, I don't know how, compared to today's micro little devices of wonder, they probably still weighed 10 pounds. But it was something to help folks who needed it, and they were not afraid to innovate. So.
Anyone remember their slogan?
The quality goes in before the name goes on.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Very good. Paul, you deserve your job, I see.
That's right. Well, that's a conversation we'll have on another night. If I'm getting what I deserve. Thank you, Bob. Let's see. Quasar by Motorola. That was my other. Oh, I love that. Quasar by Motorola. Let's see. Well, it's about the magic hour. We're actually running a little bit over here. It's 8:37. So on a snowy night in New England here, at least in southern New England, if nobody has anything further to add, we would wish you adieu, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. And stay tuned. We'll put out a presentation announcement and all that, and we'll see where we go with here. But yet another successful Zoom on February 18th, 2021. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Tom, for being the co-host this evening, and thank you everybody for sharing, and thank you very much, Bob, for a beautiful representation walk down the aisles of radio history at Bob's Museum. Thank you so much for sharing with us
Bob.
tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
All right,
Bob.
anytime. You're very welcome.
Great meeting.
All right.
Thanks again, gentlemen. Take care. Watch out for the snow, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys. Be well.